This is the original sill. We've numbered them 1 through 8 across. So this is number 3. And as I'm looking up in here, this bolster, this metal plate assembly, fitted up into these notches above. And below this, the truck was connected so that when the motors did their forcing of moving the locomotive, the force would be transmitted through these bolts and through the sills here. And over time, they moved and worked and loosened the bolts up. From the top, water came pouring down in here, which also loosened things. So these sills are kind of soft. As I'm digging away with it, I'm pulling away small pieces here. And what we did on, I thought he did it on, yeah, this one here, he put a plug up inside. This is one of our volunteers, Tom Dow, and he made it in a plug which he epoxied in here, and then we'll drill new holes in there. I think we're going to have to do that all the way across. The problem with that is you're getting farther and farther away from the original, and I don't know how well the plugs are going to give the continuity. We tried to keep something so that each piece was a full piece and there was something tying one end to the other. It points out more and more that we're not going to be hauling a lot of freight cars around with this thing when we get done. Now the only thing that really ties the car together in addition to the wood is there's a long rod, 30-some feet long, that goes from one end to the other. It goes through the sill, the end sills on both ends, and essentially holds the couplers on and keeps the car together. So what we've done, you'll see it under here and you'll see it on top, is we have replaced the rotted out, disintegrated wood with new, old, vintage southern yellow pine, which is supposedly about 100 years old, which is the age of this locomotive. And with using the West System epoxy, have glued everything together. We're going to supplement that as the Atlantic Shore did. They didn't glue anything, but we're going to supplement it by dropping bolts down through so that everything will be solid, because we're not sure how this epoxy will stand the shock of the bouncing around that it gets when it's moving. Now, having said that, this is a marine system and it's used for building boats, which certainly you get even more twisting and racking than we would have. So you can see that he's put one piece here, and I'm not sure how many more we're going to do. Up here, he has notched out, there's a brace here which goes out to the coupler. So these notches were duplicating what was on there, but in order to get it to come out right, he's had to put a little bit back here, and that should be pretty solid. But you can see some of these are fairly good on the bottom, but none of them wonderful, because this car was exposed to so much outdoors, plus all the shaking and pulling that it did when it was moving things.